What's going on YouTube? So in a time when many luxury sports sedans are leaving the market, Lexus is going the opposite way. That's right, Lexus surprised us with big updates to the IS this year. And guess what? It still has a V6. So is this the perfect sports sedan for you? Well, let's go ahead and find out. All right, let's kick things off with a spec dump. So under the hood of this IS, we have a tried and true 3.5 liter V6 engine with 311 horsepower. It's paired to a 6 or 8-speed automatic transmission, and with all-wheel drive, the combined fuel economy is 22 mpg.
Now, the base price of the IS is $47,000, and if you're looking to buy one or any vehicle, we would encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes to get the best price. Now, of course, we're going to take it out on a spin and show you the performance, but first we need to take a look at that refreshed exterior and interior.
Now, as soon as you walk up to this new IS, you can tell right from the start that this is a new look for this model, and it is a very aggressive new look. So, of course, this already had the brand's signature spindle grille, but what Lexus has done for this refresh is basically extend this out even more and change the overall shape. So up here in the front, you're always going to find this very large and aggressive black grille. It's got the gloss black finish on board, and you also have more elements that are black down there at the bottom as well, adding to that aggressive look. Now with this refresh, they moved to make every single model an F Sport, so you always will have this aggressive design. And let's take a look at the headlights. These are also updated. We have, of course, a standard LED headlight. You can see that we've got an incandescent turn signal. That's because the triple beam headlights are an option on this model, but regardless, you'll still get the Arrowhead daytime running light. Now, as we walk around to the back, the good looks continue back here as well.
Absolutely. I love the way this IS looks. It's a classic design that they really made a little bit better this year. So as far as the individual design touches, we do have a larger spoiler for 2026. Lexus is now spelled out across the back like their most modern products. And let's take a look at our taillights. So our taillights are going to be partially LED. So you have your LED brake light, LED reverse light. However, we still keep an incandescent turn signal. I really wish they would go ahead and update that to be fully LED, but overall, decent looking taillight. And then as far as the lower diffuser, all of this is piano black. We have dual exposed exhaust outlets as well.
Moving on to the wheels, we have a standard 19-inch alloy. As you can see, it's got a dark gray finish. You can also get available forged alloys from BBS if you prefer that. And we have our F Sport branding right there. Blacked out mirrors, of course, and we have standard blind spot monitoring with power folding.
Now, what does a sports sedan need to do? Well, it needs to look sexy on the outside, and I think here at the side is a great angle for the IS. Overall vehicle length is about 185.8 inches, and all of our window surrounds are also going to be blacked out. Now, there have been a couple new colors as well. One of them is wind, so it's kind of a grayish color. That's a cool addition to the lineup. And let's talk about your safety systems, because these have also been updated to the latest safety suite. All of them are standard equipment, including adaptive cruise control, and furthermore, you can option on things like traffic jam assist with lane change assist. But guys, there are some really big tech upgrades and luxury upgrades on the inside. But first, if you're new here, we're brothers and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then we have reviewed over 2,000 vehicles at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from humble to high-end, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. Now let's check out all the things that are new on the inside. First, here's our key fob. This is not new. You have standard smart entry and remote startability. Getting inside, just grab behind the handle. That will unlock the door and fold out the mirrors. But as you can see, glancing inside with the interior, there are certainly some improvements to this cabin to kind of modernize it and get it more in line with the newest Lexus products. We'll start with talking about the seats. So for 2026, all the models will come with new Lux. That's the Lexus faux leather. You're gonna have several different choices you can choose from. On the F Sport design, you have black or palomino. And then if you go for the F Sport, the higher end model, that will come with white or red options in addition to the black. Now, as far as the seat adjustments, you'll see that we have 8 ways of adjustment. We are missing the lumbar support though, so I certainly would have liked to have that. You do get that on the F Sport, and you also get memory seats on the F Sport. Let's go ahead and climb inside. And with the new overall layout, we also have some new materials for the interior. So, starting out with the door trim, we have a leatherette through here with a stitching detail. It's going to be leatherette through the center section and a soft touch plastic along the top. As we move to the upper dashboard, we have a leatherette covering for the gauge cluster, soft touch plastic through here, new vent detailing over there, and kind of passes along with leatherette that goes all the way across and down the console for your knee to rest against. You'll notice through the center section, we've got this new material. This is a forged bamboo trim. It does feel nice and high quality, and I like the look of it overall. It does elevate the interior. Now we'll fire it up with the push button start. Now let's get into what you actually get on this model in terms of features. We'll start with the gauge cluster. So we've got the full digital 12.3 inch cluster like you've seen on many other Lexus products. It is reconfigurable with a few different designs that you can modify with the steering wheel controls. Now just be aware there is no available head-up display. Now as we pull back to the steering wheel, we've got a pretty classic Lexus design, nicely leather wrapped. Power tilt and telescoping ability is actually standard equipment. That's pretty nice for this segment. And then heating is available. We also have rain sensing wipers. Now as we move over here to our center storage, of course, this is a pretty small, compact sports sedan. I wouldn't expect to see much, and indeed inside of here, you're not going to see many. We have 6 donuts inside, and it looks like that 6th one's barely fitting in there. But overall, you know, that's not out of line with its rivals. We have 2 small cup holders right there. Pretty nicely sized wireless phone charging pad up there in the front. That is standard equipment. And then as far as the shifter, we've got the old school gated shifter. This is one of the elements that kind of hangs around from what it was before. Pull back for drive, bump over here to the left for some manual shifting. And of course you have paddle shifters on the steering wheel. Moving up to reverse, there's our available 360-degree camera system. It's about $1,100 option, but you do get that nice overhead view as well as the spin around ability. And then you have an electronic parking brake with brake hold. And off to the side there is where you'll find your different drive mode controls. And then as we pull back, you'll see this new kind of panel here. It now has a roller knob for the volume control in the audio system. This is the 10-speaker standard sound system. There's also an available Mark Levinson sound system. We'll go ahead and give the standard one a sample. Overall sound quality fills up the cabin nicely. It does have a good amount of bass as well, but if you're really into audio, you will want to upgrade to the Mark Levinson sound system. All right, before we get to the climate controls, we do need to talk about those buttons next to the volume knob, which is the heated seat controls, the standard equipment, of course, and you also can get ventilated seats as well. And then there are the climate controls. It's a brand new panel. You still have physical controls though, which I think is certainly a nice touch. These are good and high quality feeling. I really like how clicky they are, and everything is super simple to adjust. And then as we move above, we've got a brand new display. Of course, no refresh would be complete without upsizing the screens these days. So this is now a 12.3 inch display. It's the largest size they've had on this IS since it was introduced. And inside of it, we've got the technology you expect as well. So we have wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. That's what you're looking at right now. And then I'll cycle back into the main Lexus UI. You can see it's pretty much the typical thing that you've seen on many models. You have built-in navigation as well as different types of functions inside of the settings. Up top here, we've got an auto dimming mirror. No home link remotes on this model. And then you also have an available sunroof across the entire IS lineup. This is also about $1,100, and as you can see, it opens up.
But what about the rear seats of the IS? Of course, this is a four-door sports sedan, so what about this area? Well, it's going to be on the smaller side, that's for sure. You probably expected that, but it's even smaller than a lot of its main competitors, that's for sure. So what we're looking at is about 32 inches of legroom, 36 inches of headroom. So those are going to be really small figures for this segment. This and the G70 are about the two smallest, and then of course you have the 3 Series and the C-Class, which are significantly larger than this model. Now, of course I brought along the official Car Confections ruler. That's because that 32 inches of legroom is a little bit of an exaggeration, I think, because this is Drew's 5'8" seating position, and I'm 5'9", and we're still looking at 7.5 inches of knee space, so that's pretty good. My feet can also slide up underneath of the seat. However, I will say the headroom is on the smaller side. If I lean all the way back, my head is hitting the ceiling. Now, if we fold down the center armrest and pop this open, there we go. You have 2 cup holders that pop out of the end of it. You also have vents here in the center area, as well as 2 USB ports and one of the largest center humps that I've ever seen. So that middle passenger is going to be pretty uncomfortable. No heated rear seats are offered, and the door trim is going to be pretty nice. You have soft touch all through the middle part, as well as a leatherette on the bottom part. However, there is actually no door storage at all. So I did bring my bottle with me, but I just have to sit it in the floor. Walking up to the cargo area, this area is also going to be pretty small. About 10.8 cubic feet of space is what you can expect to find in the IS. Once more, that is significantly smaller than something like a BMW 3 Series or a C-Class. And, you know, if you're looking at an SUV as well, that would also be significantly smaller. Speaking of vehicle segments that you could be cross-shopping this IS with, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings. We've looked at numerous vehicle segments and ranked them in individual categories like cargo space, interior luxury, technology, powertrain choices, and value, and you can sort the list and see the best options in each of those categories to really make an informed buying decision. Once more, that's at carconfections.com. Now, as far as features here in the IS, the seats fold 60-40 split, and let's go ahead and get our cargo length, width, and height figures as well. So as far as cargo length, 40 inches is what you're looking at. The opening, 41 inches, the height, 18 inches, so definitely on the shallow side when it comes to height. And then the load-in height is 28 inches. One of the things that I like about the IS is that you do still get a spare tire. A lot of vehicles are eliminating that. Well, guys, here we are behind the wheel of the refreshed Lexus IS. In this test drive, we're going to be discussing quite a lot, as you can see on the screen right now. But first of all, we need to start with a hard acceleration. Nice.
There's our acceleration to 60 miles an hour with the IS 350. So, of course, as you could hear, really, as we were accelerating, you got that smooth 3.5-liter V6. This is really a classic engine for the Lexus lineup. They've used it in a lot of products over the years, but increasingly it's been disappearing in favor of, turbocharged 4-cylinders and hybrids and things like that. But here with the sports sedan, they're keeping it tried and true, leaving that 3.5 V6 in place. And I think we're both certainly quite excited about that.
I was surprised, honestly, that they did keep it, but I'm very happy about it.
I mean, one could be surprised about this product at all still being around, and especially getting improvements for 2026. Now, the actual power figures on board, 311 horsepower, 280-something
280
pound-feet of torque. 280, there you go.
Of torque. Really, your 0 to 60 acceleration is pretty quick. It's around 6 seconds. So if you get the rear drive model, I believe it's 5.9, and then the all-wheel drive is 6 seconds. That's honestly fast enough for the vast majority of people's needs, and I think really the smoothness is the key factor here in the IS. Most of its competition, especially if you're looking at a cheaper price point, like this one is sitting right around 50 grand, you're definitely going to be getting a 4-cylinder instead. So this V6, I think, is much appreciated.
Now, as we accelerate, we need to talk about the transmissions. I said transmissions because there's actually two. It depends on if you get the rear drive model or the all-wheel drive model. What we're driving right now is the all-wheel drive model. That's a 6-speed automatic transmission, and then you get an 8-speed automatic with the rear-wheel drive model. Overall, of course, 6 speeds is definitely on the older side of things, but it is a pretty smooth transmission. And of course, if you want a little bit of a more modern transmission, a little snappier performance, you can always choose that rear drive model.
Yeah. And we are on our designated strip of road to get things like our sound level reading. So what I'm going to do is turn off all of the noise amplification. By the way, you can customize that here in the screen, and we also have it on fan speed 1, so we can see how quiet the IS is. .6 decibels is what we have settled in at as our sound level reading. We don't have to sit here and guess how it compares to the competition. We can find all of that at carconfections.com/sound level readings. And looking at the competition, the BMW 3 Series is the reigning champion for the quietest cabin in this segment, but it is very much on par with a lot of the main rivals that I'd imagine you'd be looking at if you're buying an IS. Something like a G70 Genesis is very similar to this. But cruising down the road, it's time for us to talk about ride quality. The Lexus IS, of course, has a sporty character to it, so yes, it's not going to have the very best ride quality that you can get in the Lexus lineup. However, I will say I think they've done a great job of balancing the sporty character of this vehicle and the good ride quality that you expect out of a luxury sedan. The seats are fantastic. The suspension does a great job of soaking up the major intrusions inside the cabin. And while you can feel a little bit, I have to say I'm very happy with the overall package that they've delivered here. Additionally, you can also get adaptive dampers as a part of the dynamic handling package. I think it's around $700 if you want to opt for that, and that would further increase your customizability between ride and sportiness.
I went ahead and popped it into sport mode and kind of go around this corner here. Yeah, of course, this is a sports sedan after all, so Lexus has retained that nice driving characteristic that the IS has always had. They have made some adjustments to the suspension and steering for 2026 just to kind of keep everything as smooth and dynamic as possible, and I think it's, like Mason was saying, really strikes a good overall balance where it's not like hardcore or anything like that. You could totally drive this every day, but also have fun doing it.
Yeah, and I think that's a good move considering that now it's really only F-Sport models. You can't get like a luxury version of the IS, so I think that's a good move to kind of make sure that both of those needs are satisfied. And we can go ahead and head into our Slam Dunk and Airball. Drew, what's our Slam Dunk?
Well, it's got to be the things that Lexus improved with this model. Of course, we already mentioned we were pretty happy that this model is hanging around after all, since it was rumored it could be discontinued, and they went ahead and invested the money to modernize this for the future. Things like the technology are going to be a lot more livable on the day-to-day, plus I do like the design updates as well.
Yeah, on the flip side, our Airball is going to be, we wish they had gone just a little bit further on certain things. For instance, I don't really like the 6-speed transmission. I wish they had just maybe went with the 8-speed across the board. And also just a couple different elements as far as packaging goes, like the fact that you have to pay $1,100 for a moonroof, and a lot of the individual options are kind of expensive in addition to things like the lighting still being incandescent on the outside. And lastly, I want to take a second to talk about fuel economy. It's sitting at 22 miles per gallon combined, so that's going to be decent fuel economy, although definitely not as good as some of the turbocharged rivals that you could be looking at. And with the price of gas rising, you might want to download Upside, a free cashback app. We routinely use Upside to save 10, 20, even 30 cents a gallon on gas in our area. It's super convenient and easy to use, and as an added bonus, Upside is offering Car Confections viewers an extra 25 cents off per gallon of gas on your first tank by scanning the QR code on the screen or by clicking the link in our video description or the pinned comment at the top of this video. But what about the pricing? So we start at $46,700 for the rear drive F-Sport design model. Now we have the all-wheel drive version, and there's also the regular F-Sport that costs a little bit more. As you can see, we have the F-Sport design all-wheel drive 2026. $47,500 is that base price. We have a couple options. $1,295 destination. $51,903 is what we're looking at today. This vehicle is assembled in Japan, and if you're looking to buy one, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that will connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is great if you plan on doing any type of dealership negotiation. There's also a monthly payment tool, so if you'd like to check all of that out, you can find that on our website, carconfections.com. But what about the resale reliability and the warranty? First up, let's talk about resale value. Lexus as a brand is estimated to retain 53.83% of original MSRP after 5 years and 60,000 miles, and after 10 years and 120,000 miles, 28.1%. Now, those are actually above industry average for all vehicle brands, and it is the #1 luxury brand across all vehicle brands.
Now, the same can also be said about reliability. With our latest 2026 data, our combined reliability index indicates that Lexus is the #1 overall brand and, of course, also the overall #1 luxury brand.
Now, if you'd like to learn more about how all of that is calculated, you can find that on our website, carconfections.com. Now, when it comes to your warranty, you do have a good one. It's a 4-year, 50,000-mile basic warranty, a 6-year, 70,000-mile powertrain warranty. You do additionally get 2 complimentary service visits. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth review of the new 2026 Lexus IS 350. If you enjoyed watching this review where we detail all the changes of this sports sedan, we'd really appreciate you hitting that subscribe button down below. It helps us to make more videos like this. And if you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support. We'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.